Liliana Iacono, who's going to talk about teaching context. So it's going to be interesting for all of us. So I will start. Yeah, we are sure about that. So welcome. Let's enjoy this activity.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes,
perfect. Good. So nice to see you back. My name is Liliana Iacono, as you know already. Yes, and today we're going to talk about teaching in context. So not just teaching language, but teaching something else together with language. So this subtitle will be Writing and Vocabulary Resources for Engaging and Motivating Students. Why is that? Because once we give content, of course, students are more engaged, and this way, hopefully, they will also be more motivated to learn the language. Sorry about the date, which is mistaken, 28th of March instead of February. Sorry. Okay, so this is the agenda for today. We're going to talk about literary text. Remember, last time we also talked about text. In that case, it was there were two articles, short excerpt of articles. We will do something similar today, but in this case we will use mostly literary text and also some key texts. And then Agnese Tomasella's presentation after mine will be focused on CLIL especially, and how to use this kind of text. We will talk about DALO, DABI and DASP text, which sounds strange or weird or mysterious, but it's something actually very simple that we do already. You will discover that it's something that you do already in your classroom, and you will discover what these acronyms are about. We'll talk about key in the literary text. We'll see what key is, literary devices, planning activities, sorry for the typo, and clean text, as I said before. Okay, literature is useless. That's a true story, because I teach at Liceo Classico, Pedro del Agrigento, and there are teachers who believe that literature is useless, that it would be much better to teach just the language rather than literature. What do you think about that? No, right? Good. Both. My idea, yes, both, because of course you cannot teach one without the other one. But my idea is that actually literature not only is important, but it can be a tool, something that we can actually use to enhance our teaching, to enhance our lessons. So that's what I will try to communicate today. What kind of literature though? We can talk about literature with capital L or literature with small l. Can you tell me the difference? What's literature with capital L? Dickens, which I was teaching this morning. Is capital or small? Capital, right? That's literature. The article I showed you the other time, is capital or small letter? No, it's just a text, a random text that I found on the internet. So when we talk about literature, we actually include a wide range of texts that go from Dickens, or Jane Austen, or poetry, Dickens, yes, Emily Dickinson, drama, whatever, Joyce, Virginia Woolf, the classic, or just a random text that you find on the internet, or an Ed Sheeran song, or whatever. I mean, it could be really a wide variety of text. So in this case, I will refer mostly to literature because I chose some literary text, but when we say literature, you have to imagine everything that is written, basically, okay? So that can be used as a tool to enhance our lessons. You know that already, right? You know how to use Menti. You are already experts in that. Now, I want you to choose one reason for not using literature. Okay, for not using literature. Because there could be reasons for not using it, right? I have a few here. It's difficult, it's boring, it takes too long to read, it's not easy to find suitable text, and we need to teach everyday language. Okay, so these are some of the reasons. You might find something more, but we can focus just on that. Okay, it's boring. We have one answer. Yes, you have just to go to menti.com and use the code that you see there, so that through the code you can give an answer. Okay, we have 8 answers, so let me we can wait 1 to 2 minutes more. Okay, so no one thinks it's difficult. That's good. Good to know. At least in this audience. So, yeah, those are the very good reasons for not using literature. But is that true? I mean, are all these things true, or are they just excuses or things that we are convinced of, but for no real reason? I'll tell you my idea, which is based on a research, so it's not just a vague idea actually. So, it's difficult, it can be, of course, but I can tell you that I have used also Ulysses monologue, Mary Bloom's monologue, 50 pages, no punctuation. Okay, you can use that too. And it's not that difficult either, because you can ask, for instance, your students to add the punctuation to the excerpt. And they can understand, they can actually follow that. Or, of course, you can avoid difficult text by selecting well, right? Selecting the correct text for the level of your students. Of course, that's the main thing. So if you choose a good text that has a good level, it's adequate for your students, then it shouldn't be difficult. It's boring. Well, it depends. You have to know the taste of your students. If you know what they might be interested in, or what kind of genre they would like, or things like that, then you can avoid using too difficult or boring text. There are some authors that actually students read, teenagers. I will give you a short selection later. So, of course, if you ask them first, that would be easier to give them a text that is more involving and motivating for them. It takes too long to read. Yes, but I'm not talking about using a whole novel or not even a short story, but just an excerpt, which could be a paragraph, 1 or 2 sentences. Sometimes they are so intense that you don't really need a paragraph, but just a few sentences to develop a lesson out of it. It's not easy to find text. No. You type whatever you want to Google. You type whatever you want to Google and you have plenty of text. Or now you have ChatGPT. We have TUI, remember that chat I mentioned before? And there you can really dial a topic and ask the chat to give you a full text. So that's an excuse, for sure. We need to teach everyday language. True, but who says that there is no everyday language in literature? I mean, there's plenty of everyday language in literature, right? Of course, once again, we have to choose what we need. We have to select what we need. Are you convinced so far? Not so much. Okay, now choose one reason for using literature, okay, for using it. It's real language, it has an added value, it's more engaging, it provides modern language, it enhances life skills.
To choose just one?
Yes. You can choose more. I think you have the option of choosing more. So if you have the option, you can choose more than one, yes.
Yes, ok. Si ti selezionano. Non le due me le fate fare. Ora submit. Va bene?
Just one?
Just one, yes.
You can tell me. Face to face. Okay, so it's, nobody chose it's real language, but it is real language, of course. Yes, there is the artistic element too, but it is language, okay? Just like the language we use every day. It has an added value. Yes, indeed. What is the added value of literature?
The cultural aspect.
The cultural aspect, indeed. Anything else? Culture. Yes, you can learn different variations, for instance, of English, of course. Formal English, less formal, or African English, or Indian English variation, or a mix of different. It has an artistic value, indeed, yes. It has an artistic value. So you can read just for the pleasure of it, just because it's a beautiful piece of art. So you don't really need to do anything else, just reading for, the pleasure of reading. It's more engaging, nobody chose that, but why should literature, or is literature more engaging, in your opinion?
More engaging compared to spoken language. More engaging.
Compared to, for instance, a dialogue that we see in a textbook, why is literature more engaging?
For example, if you read a poem, they should be able to find a different figure of speech in order to understand that. Yes,
Okay, it's more challenging, so that means they're more engaged, yes, indeed.
And I try to find the sense of text.
Yeah, the meaning, the deep meaning beyond the language.
The word.
Yes.
It has a story.
It has a story, right?
You project yourself into somebody else's life, into a different context, different age. So your imaginative power.
Yes, it enhances our imagination. It creates also a field where we can relate to the characters or to the experience, or we can relate somehow to the thing we're reading through emotions, feelings. So in this sense, it's more engaging. I'm going back to real language because I was mentioning the fact that if you compare a dialogue in a textbook and a dialogue in short stories, in a novel, a poem, which one is more real, so to say?
Textbook.
Textbook is more real. In terms of communication, in terms of communication, a dialogue in a textbook is written just for the purpose of practicing language, the function, right? Present perfect, passive voice or whatever. In the case of literature, you can still find.
Maybe the dialogue that we can find in our text is not authentic language spoken by people, because it is written on the purpose on a specific
It's
grammar
actually
point.
fake, right? It's as fake as literature, even more fake, we can say. Because, yes, it is written not for the purpose of communication, of real communication, but for the purpose, practical purpose of learning.
For a foreign student.
Exactly, for the language itself, for communication, for practicing one specific function, grammar rule, and so on. On the contrary, literature, at the base of literature, it's always communication, right? So it's always a communication going on.
It's the authentic language spoken by people.
And it's
So it
usually
should be
authentic.
written by English author.
English or
in general.
yes, in English. Right nowadays we don't.
Or maybe, okay, so when you talk about like literature, we should write on our language,
Our
own language.
yes,
Like,
as
like,
native,
like,
yes,
like,
native.
the language.
But when we speak about English literature, we should refer to a wide variety of literature from all over the world, global English, not just to British English, of course. Okay, where we provide models of modern language, yes, because you can still find the grammar elements or function, anything, vocabulary, phrasal verbs in literature, so you can use that as a model, structures, idioms, whatever. You can find that as a model for the students to copy and to practice. And it enhances life skills. Why? Which ones? How? Which life skills? Critical thinking, first of all, because you give them a passage, usually it has a content, so you discuss the content and you try to understand what is the other purpose, what is he or she doing, and so on. You can, yes, you can express your opinion and your ideas. So critical thinking, yes, is a key life skill that you can enhance and develop with literature. What else?
Problem solving, for example.
Problem solving, yes. I discovered that if you give them a task, for instance, writing a crime story is very good for problem solving because you actually have to create a structure that forces you to face problems and resolve them in a way. So that is very good for instance, for problem solving. What about creativity?
Yes, for example, dramatize something that they read on literature and dramatize in a group.
Yes, indeed. Or you can ask them to write a story of that genre, or using that vocabulary, or using that structure, or a poem. They can write a poem on their own, and that will be, of course, enhancing creativity. We will see later, soon actually, how many life skills we can develop through literature. Now, as I mentioned before, students read, but sometimes they read different authors than adults. Of course, as for genres, Tolkien, Rowling, so fantasy is of course very popular. Those are some of the very popular authors too: Nicholas Sparks, Veronica Roth, Colin Hoover, John Green. Don't ask me because I don't know who they are, but they're very popular. Apart from Sparks is kind of popular, but the other ones are unknown to me, but they're very popular. They're very popular, I can tell you. And then also, bestsellers like Follett, King, Brown, Doyle. Also these other ones, Stephanie Meyer, Anna Todd, John Martin, again, don't ask me, but I think okay, yes, thanks. Yes, Game of Thrones, yes. And Meyer is the Twilight saga, yes, exactly. But there are other sagas going on. If you ask them, they will tell you. So you can, of course, you have the source, so you can ask them to give you some ideas. And then also classic like Orwell, Wilde, Hemingway, Jane Austen, Bront, Dickinson. So these are kind of popular among students of high schools in Italy. Okay, how to use a text? We go to the acronyms. We have TALO, TAG, and TASP. They're very simply, TALO is using a text as a linguistic object. TAG is using a text as a vehicle for information, and TASP as a springboard for production, as an input, as a prompt for production. So, what do we do when we want to use a text as TALO? What does that mean? We're using the text for what? What do we focus on?
To insert a word, for example, close the test, just like close the test.
Yes, so
You need only a word to complete the sentence.
yes, so you can focus on vocabulary, for instance, right? Or grammar, yes. In that case, we do exercises just to focus on the grammar, on the function, on the vocabulary of the text. And so we consider the text a linguistic object, a source of language for learning the language. Text as a vehicle of information. What do we do with that? What do we do when we use the text as a vehicle for information? Exactly. Either we provide the students with those information, with that information, or ask them to infer from the text. Where is the author from? What culture is she or he talking about? What kind of context, historical context or whatever. So we're using that piece of writing for getting more information. And as a springboard for production, what can we do with that? As an input, a prompt for production, we can use the text as a model and tell the students, or as a...
For example, write an email and answer your friend.
Okay, write an email answering that this email, or write an essay on this topic, or write a story just like this, or similar, or the same genre, and so on. Using the story as a model. So, as you can see, these are things that we already do basically in our classroom. Maybe you didn't know that they were called TALO, TAG, and TASP. Okay, so just a quick revision. TALO means we read a text for leisure. Yes or not? TAG means that a text is very interesting. Yes or not? Could be, but we don't know. TASP means using a text as a prompt for writing. TARI means that we read for being informed, without the A, sorry. Both TARO and TASP mean using a text for writing activities. Very quickly, just to... Yeah, you have to answer. Mentimeter again, yes. Okay, so what does TALO means? TALO means we use the text as a linguistic object. TAMI means information. It could be interesting or not, we don't know, but it's a vehicle of information. TASP as a prompt, that is correct, as a prompt for writing. TAMI, yes, and both TALO and TASP. Thanks for writing activities, yes? Yes, thank you. Okay, now, life skills, test and life skills. These are some, again, a lot of acronyms, but you don't have to learn them by heart, of course. It's just a short way to tell you that these are the kind of life skills that you can improve or practice through literature. So creative writing, personal growth, critical thinking, model for language, problem solving, and multiculturalism. Of course, these are some. Now, when we read, of course, as a reader, we have a very important role, right? Because we react to the text. Reading is not passive as we think. It's actually something very active, which is an action we are involved to, because we have a relation, let's say, with the text. So we relate to the content, we negotiate meaning. In fact, the same text can mean different things for different readers, right? So each one has his own or their own negotiation of meaning, and it adds a new perspective. It's good because if you ask the students, rather than giving them ready-made content or meaning, if we ask them to give us their own interpretation, you can have different ways, right? Different perspective, different views. So each one adds a new perspective to the text itself, and create new content. In doing so, of course, we create new content. I don't know what that is actually. That one, I don't know. Looks fun, but it's not what I. Okay. Choose the most useful option to practice life skill, Talodami or TASP. Which one do you think is more useful to practice life skill? Okay, yes, TASP is the most suitable. Okay, it's the most suitable because it's the more, it's the one that is more productive, so the students can actually.
Involves a lot of
Yes.
involves a lot of abilities.
Yes, it involves a lot of abilities, and students are free to explore more. Now, to write a story, before actually writing a story, everything starts with reading, right? So that's the starting point. We start reading, we learn something, and then we can actually start writing a story. And when we read, we are engaged with the text, we try to negotiate meaning and so on. The first thing we do is, what is the key of this reading? The key. And what is the key? We call the key also a tone, right? The tone. And why is tone important? Because it opens the door, let's say, of the reading, right? And how do we understand the tone? Well, to let students understand what tone is, show them emoji. They will immediately understand what a tone is. So, sad, humorous, serious, horrific, optimistic, joyful, and pessimistic. Can you match the tone or the key with the emoji? Which one is sad? Yes, 2. Humorous? Yes, could be 5, I guess. Serious? 6, yes. Horrific? Horror? The first one, yes. Optimistic? 3, yes, I would say so. Joyful? 7. Pessimistic? 4, yes, 4 or 6, but 6 is more serious. Pessimistic would be. Okay, so very simple, and then you can associate the definition with a adjective, and again the definition with the emoji. But they will immediately understand what is the tone, what a tone is, and why are emojis so important? Why are emojis so important when we write text?
Because they answer our feelings through text.
Yes, they make clear the tone, right? They make clear the feelings. Or, because I can say you're stupid, but I can say it in a funny way, in a not serious way, but I can also say that in a very upset way, depending on. Add the tone, yes, they add the emotion and the tone. That's why they are so important, and that's why sometimes misunderstanding happen, because we don't understand the tone. Maybe I was just joking in writing, but if you don't get the tone, you can easily get upset or whatever. So yes, no need for you to write a message, but you can exchange later if you have each other telephone numbers. You can exchange, make the experiment, let the other person guess what is the tone of your message. Okay, reading is a complex action, right? It's not something that you finish and you do just once. Even in a short excerpt like this, you read it several times because it's like peeling an onion, no? Each layer has a different, you discover something more. The first reading would be aesthetic reading, meaning that you just enjoy what you're doing, what you're reading, just for the pleasure of it and trying to get involved in it. So I'll give you a few minutes just to read this passage, which is a very short excerpt from Edgar Allan Poe, The Telltale Heart. Can you read? Okay, any impression, first impression? Did you enjoy it? Maybe not, maybe yes. It's very fast. Which sense? Yes, something very quickly. Is the person reading this calm and quiet, relaxed? It's the opposite, right? It's very hectic. Something going on. Something is very anxious. What genre would that be? What genre? What tone? We can say which tone? Dramatic, yes, and being more specific. We're talking about Edgar Allan Poe. Horror, yes, horror. Yes, it's dramatic and horror, definitely. So that's the tone, right? That's the key. So that would be our first impression. Something happening, something going on, the genre is dramatic, there's something, dramatic action going on. The second reading would be for linguistic purpose. So it's dialogue in this case. Efferent reading means that we're taking something out of it. In the aesthetic reading, we just read for the pleasure of it. In the efferent reading, we're taking out something. In this case, we're focusing on language. I focused a few words which might be difficult at B1, A1 plus level. So, dull, gasped, truffles, paced, stride, foamed, raved, swung, rated, and boards. Do you know all of them? Maybe not all of them? Most of them? No? How many do you know of the ones that are highlighted? Okay, let's try to get the meaning from the context. From instance, gasped for breath. What is gasped? It's, how do we say that in Italian? How would be ansimare? I paced the floor to and fro, which is something I'm doing. Yeah, pace the floor to and fro, going up and down. I foamed, I raved, I swore, I foamed. Sorry? It's a climax, yes, indeed, it is. Foamed. Yes, it's like having come avere la fava, quasi, no? Raved. Yes. Swung the chair. Moving the chair. Okay, those are some of the words. So after aesthetic reading, we did some linguistic reading. Now we are doing Antavi, which means reading comprehension, trying to get some info from the text. What is the key of the excerpt? We said that already, dramatic, horror. What kind of feeling or mood is the author conveying? Anxious, yes, anxiety, tension, anxiety. How does he convey it? How? What?
Different questions.
Okay, for instance, the questions, yes, for questions which made you feel what's going on, what's happening, yes. Other things? Why are there capital letters? Why? When you write text, in a chat,
It's like underlining
it's like underlining, it's like screaming loud, yeah, right? Repetition, good, yes, repetition. What about uncertainty? What's going on? Other things? Yes, repetition of structures. Yes, repetitions again. And yes, we said that. Why are those words repeated? Louder, louder, louder.
To give the idea of the sense of anxiety.
To underline again, no? To underline the sense of anxiety. So these are some of the devices that we saw, but there are also literary devices. Can you see any? The ones that are used in literature. Actually, we said some of them already. We said capital letter, we said repetitions, also exclamation marks, no? So punctuation, exclamation mark are another way of underlining. So there are some literary devices, apart from the ones we mentioned. There are repetitions, parataxis, exclamations, capital letters, and rhetorical questions. I think we mentioned all of them, apart from parataxis. What is parataxis? Is when the sentences are all parallel. There's not a main sentence and all other sentences connected. They're all parallel, like in the case of as in the case of I swear, I foamed, I'll show you the parataxis here. I foamed, I raved, I swore. This is a classic parataxis. 3 sentences, each one with its own autonomy, let's say, independent from the other, but used in a parallel way, so to create this sort of repetition. Okay, sorry, can you associate why would they not begun? What is that? A rhetorical question. Low, dull, quick sound. Capital letter. But the noise steadily increased. I think that is repetition. It's repeated a few times. Louder, louder, louder. Repetition. For I fought, I prayed, I swore. Paradoxes. Oh God. Exclamation. What could I do? Rhetorical questions. Much such a sound, etc. Capital letters, capital letter. You see, as you can see, in a very short excerpt, we have already many literary devices. As, yes, well done, yes, simile, as a word, exactly. Yeah, I'm sure we could find more, but just to give an example, because it's really a rich excerpt. So, can we use that for revising simple past? Yes, there's plenty of simple past, regular, irregular, so of course we can. We can divide them into regular and irregular, write the missing, ask the students to write the missing form of the verbs, write the meaning, so that would be a good revision. You have plenty of them, plenty of simple past. Task, writing task, 15 minutes, 100 words. And you can decide to do two different things. You can, for instance, decide to give a creative task for creative purposes. So write a story associated to this emoji, same tone, so drama or horror. Use the verbs from the previous exercise and use the literary devices learned. And that will be in a creative, with creative purposes. Or on the contrary, we can use that for a personal growth experience or a personal growth skill. In this case, we can ask them to describe a frightening experience that they had. What scared you most and why? What did you learn from that experience? So these are just examples of the things we can do with a test. So to sum up, we have 4 steps, right? 4 steps. First step would be reading for aesthetic. Second step, reading for the language and trying to grasp the meaning and underline the difficult word and see what they know about them. Third step, reading comprehension. What do you know about this text? What can you understand? Who is the author? What is he doing or she doing? We can extend that if we want to include information about the author, about the period, or whatever. And then the productive part, task. So in this case, we can decide which skill do we want to develop, creativity, or whatever it was, critical thinking and so on. Okay, here's another text by Don DeLillo, who is an American writer, and we'll just go through this very quickly because it's just an example of something else. In this case, what can we say about the tone? I will give you a few minutes just to go through it very quickly. Is it done dramatic as before? No, definitely not. Is it exciting?
Not particularly.
Not particularly. So how would you define the tone? It's talking about a boring party, so the tone is not exciting. It's kind of neutral, boring, maybe a bit serious, but in the end it changes a bit, or maybe there's some irony. Can you see the irony somewhere?
It's like an Antonioni.
It's like an Antonioni movie, yes. But the faces are not as interesting, yes, there is some irony at the end, yes.
The Western civilization, maybe.
Also, this is the essence of Western.
Something against that civilization.
Exactly. What about peace earrings? What are peace earrings? Earrings with the sign of peace. So, what kind of people do you think are in this party? People who have peace earrings, who know Antonioni, who think about Western civilization. Intellectual, American intellectuals and so on. But are they really interesting people? Not so much. Not so much. So,
Maybe they are, but from the perspective of the writer,
of course, yes, the perspective is the one of the text, yes. Maybe they are, but in this case, they are presented as not so, yes, boring people. Okay, vocabulary. Is this vocabulary that we can use every day for everyday language? Like, it didn't matter really because, can we use it? Is that real language? What do you think? A dozen of times. It is, no? It is real language. So, we can focus. Sorry?
It's everyday language.
Yes, I would say so. Something that we can, it didn't matter really because, or it doesn't matter really, we use that, no? So, that's a sample of vocabulary that you can teach through this little excerpt, and they can do activities. Writing task, it was one of those parties which are so boring that use the expressions you have learned. Okay, we go. I'll give you another sample. This is George Orwell, which is one of teenagers' favorite in general. We will not go through it, but I will just show you some of the things you can do. For instance, pre-teaching difficult word against past simple for grammar, regular and irregular. In this case, they're mostly regular. Past, present, and continuous. These are sentences taken from the passage, so you can teach them the difference between past simple and past continuous. Okay, if you there is a website, a Cambridge website, where you can actually write and get feedback. So that puts something your student, that your student can use as independent work. They can do that at home. They can write different kind of text and get feedback. And if you want to know more about dialogue, tag, and task, how to use them, and so on, this is an article I wrote a few years ago, so you can find it on Accademia Edu. Now, I'm not going to talk about this because actually Agnese is going to focus on this. This is an Erasmus project we did with the University of Córdoba and the University of Porto and the Fundación Santos Mártires in Córdoba. And we have developed a platform that is full, so we'll just go through it very quickly because then Agnese will show you what to do. These are some of the topics in this platform. It's very good for CLIL, for teaching CLIL. These are some of the topics: photosynthesis, human nervous system, animals, the locomotor system, getting to know machine climates, landscape. So there's a variety of videos and text. Now you can use these activities you can do while watching the video, before watching the video, or after watching the video. And of course, when we talk about CLIL, scaffolding is the main thing, creating, adding vocabulary. So for instance, you have a video, you take the difficult word or the keywords in that video and you create a word bank like this. Once you have the word bank, you can start working on that. Maybe pre-teaching difficult words with pictures, like in this case. Or you can teach drilling. You can drill collocations like chemical action, earth surface, natural processes, and so on. Sorry. Spelling. How many words can you find here? Okay, I'll give you a few minutes. Okay, give me a number and I will tell you if it is correct. 10 sicuro, yes, but it's more. Okay, yeah, there are more, there are 19, I think, if I remember well. But this is just to tell you what, with a simple exercise like that, you can focus on spelling, especially for new words or difficult words. They really have to focus on spelling and split the words. So that would be a very simple activity to do. Or you can decide to divide inland landscape and coastal landscape. So which one refers to which? 2 columns, inland and coastal, and they have to write, again, to practice the language. You can check comprehension through definition. An area of the coast where the sea is almost surrounded by land, it's a gulf, and so on. Picture dictation. You can decide to actually dictate a picture. There is a mountain, a high mountain, we're looking at a green valley, there are a few houses, and then you can compare the picture with what they have, with the drawings. Other activities, speaking, I'm in a small island with white houses and blue windows overlooking the beautiful Mediterranean Sea. It's a sunny day, it's a beautiful sandy beach, and where am I? Greece. Well done, yes. So very simple activity, again, to practice the language. Students listen to the video and you stop it, the video, and they use the phone to find a picture that matches the text. So if the text is describing a place, they have to find something similar. They read the text and note down the questions to ask each other. Or again, writing, productive. They watch the video and use the vocabulary to describe their own favorite place, their own favorite landscape. These are the 2 projects, so you can have a look at them. The one I'm mentioning is IP Model. This is another project where you can find a lot of material for teachers, resources, like best practice, also some videos on methodology and so on. I don't know why these things happen occasionally. I have this. I don't know. Which activity did you enjoy most? Paul, Delillo, Orwell, or CLIL? Of course, not all of them were explored in depth, but maybe. Okay, looks like we have a winner. The winner is clean. Yes, it's very practical. I suggest you have a look at the platform, both of them, but the one IB model is actually very useful for teaching. You can find at A2, P1 level, you can find a lot of good inputs. And that's it. There was actually something, okay, no, I think that's it. Thank you very much. I think there is something. Okay, so and then Agnes will talk you